Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be making sharks and fins. Go ahead and start by melting your chocolate, and if it is a little too thick, go ahead and melt some vegetable shortening and add that to your chocolate. You want it to be a little bit thinner so that it can fully coat everything. We don't want it too thick. After that, you're going to get your sticks, dip a little bit in there, and pop them into your cake pop balls. Don't push them in too far, otherwise the stick's going to pop out the other end, but you don't want it to not be far enough or your cake ball's going to fall right off that stick. Today we are going to be making a dozen of these, so we're going to make 6 fins and 6 sharks. After you've gotten all of your sticks attached to your balls, we're going to do the blue ones first. They are going to be our fins. Just dip the whole thing in the blue. Going to drizzle it off, shake it off a little bit. You don't want to have too much excess, otherwise it's going to be dripping all over the place. I shake it off and then I tap it either with my finger on the stick or I'll tap it on the side of the bowl. You want to make sure that your cake pops were in the fridge for at least 2 hours. That way they're chilled enough to where they'll dry right away, but not too cold to where the chocolate and the cake pops are such a different temperature that they begin to crack. If you get any bubbles in your chocolate, go ahead and pop those with a toothpick. You want to make sure that it's smooth all the way around and completely sealed up to the stick. I use some extra chocolate wafers. I use black ones. You can use black or white since we made our gray color. I went ahead and cut those in half and then into fourths. We are going to use these pieces for our fins and our flippers for our sharks. Go ahead and get 3 per cake pop ball. After you've gotten all of these cut up, we are going to attach them to the cake pop. We are going to do that by dipping it in our melted chocolate, one end, and then you're going to stick it to your cake pop ball. We're going to put 2 on the side and 1 on top. Do your best. Doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to make sure that they're fully connected and not going to pop off when we dip them. But if you make too many lumps, they will show up in your cake pop. So you want to be careful. When you dip the sharks in, make sure you're very careful. You don't want any of those pieces to come off, and you want to make sure it seals all the way around. We want it to coat each of those fins and attach to the stick at the top. If there's any holes or spots you missed, you can get a toothpick, dip it in the chocolate, and fill it in. Also, you want to make sure that all the excess is off. It'll try to drip down the fins. The cake pop's colder than the fins, so it's going to start to dry first. You want to keep tapping it and spinning it until it starts to look like it's getting even and that it's not going to drip after you put it on the stand. If your chocolate is too hot, it will start to melt the fins, the wafers that you've attached. So you want to make sure that it's not starting to thicken and harden, but you don't want to have freshly microwaved chocolate. These little guys were so cute. I'm so happy how these turned out. It worked out so well. You could also use this technique if you were to make Halloween bats. Just don't put the fin on top. Just do the two little sides and you've got some cute little wings. Here again, I'm showing you how to dip them. Be very careful, fully coat it. Make sure you get all that excess off. You also don't want to shake it too hard. You don't want to have the fins or the actual cake pop ball pop off the stick. This video is sped up. I took my time. Don't rush it. On this one, at the top you can see there's a little hole where the chocolate didn't touch the stick. All I did was grab a box of toothpicks, dip one in the chocolate, and fill in that spot. Afterwards, all you have to do is tap the stick a bit, spin it, and it will level out with the rest of the chocolate. You won't even notice. Aren't they so cute? It turned out so nice, and there's a smooth coating all over the top. These actually stand on their own, not the stick. What I like to do is take my cookie baking sheet, nonstick baking sheet, and put it on the counter. You could also use parchment paper. You're going to dip that cake pop in the chocolate on the bottom just a little bit. You don't want to put too much on, otherwise you're going to have a weird bump on the bottom that spreads out. But if you don't put enough on, then it's not going to be flat enough to hold itself up. You're just going to hold that down on there until it can support itself without your hand being there. We're going to do the same thing with the sharks. Go ahead and put some on the bottom. They aren't perfectly upright because I wanted the shark's face to be more visible, so their sticks a little bit at a slant. You're going to want these to sit on there for at least maybe 5 to 10 minutes to make sure the bottom's completely hardened before you pick them up. I went ahead and put some white melted chocolate in a piping bag. This is how we're going to do a lot of the designs. This one's white, has a little bit of red bits in for maybe a little bit of the shark's extra lunch. We're going to make smiles on these guys. You don't have to be completely perfect, but do your best. Make a smile. You spread it out a little bit until you like the shape. I tap the stick so that the chocolate levels out and smooths itself a little bit more, so it's not lumpy. You're just going to keep repeating that in that moon-shaped smile. I was copying a image that my customer sent me, but if you wanted to, you could play with different expressions. Give them some cute little sad eyes, happy eyes, winky faces. You can play with it. They could be angry sharks if you give them some eyebrows. After the smiles, we are going to be doing the eyeballs and the teeth. Grabbed a piping bag and added some black. For this, we are doing the fin part first. You're going to do your blue in a piping bag, and we are going to drizzle that over the top. After you get that blue in the piping bag, go ahead and make sure it flows out nicely. You don't want to have chunks. You are going to flow that over the cake pop and spin it at the same time. It's going to give it a really nice, pretty spiral drizzled effect. That's what our water is going to look like on these cake pops. This is a really easy way to do designs. You could do it with any color and put a little swirl on top and cover it in sprinkles. For this one, we are just doing the blue drizzle on all of the fin ones. Later, we'll be attaching the fins to the top and calling it good. They look so cute. Here's where we are going to be doing the eyes and the teeth for these. The eyes are just going to be dots, but like I said, you could play with expressions. And then you're just going to slowly do zigzags for the teeth on the inside. You want to make sure that there's no clumps in the end of your piping bag. Now we're doing the fins. What I did is I have a silicone mold that is in the shape of a moon. Cut it in half, and we are using that to be our fin. I'll show you that later. You're just going to dip it in the blue and attach it. There you go. I love this because the fins were not hard at all. And if you can't get the sharks to work out, you could easily have a shark party with just the fin cake pops alone. On this one, I didn't like that the corner of the fin was shown. So I went ahead and grabbed a toothpick and I dip it in the chocolate and fill in any mistakes or any little areas that I want to fix up. On this one, both edges, I wanted to fill in a little bit better. Here's the mold I'm showing you. I have some moons. It comes with some stars on top, and we don't want that for our shark. So I go ahead and take a little knife. I'm very slowly, very carefully, just going to scrape those off. This chocolate's not very hard. It's pretty easy just to pop those off, but be very gentle with the knife. Be very careful. We don't want to be cutting any fingers off. This worked out perfect. Then you have a plain moon. It smooths out really nice, and I'm just going to cut those in half, and then I'm going to angle it a little bit more and cut it so that the fins aren't too curved. Then I just continue to dip that in the blue chocolate, attach it to the cake pops, and we are done with our fins. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I really love doing all the unique designs, and everyone's birthday parties are always so different. Everyone's got different interests, and all of the themes are so exciting, and trying new designs is always so much fun. I hope you liked the sharks, and please let me know if there's any other designs you would like to try, if there's a theme you had in mind. And give me feedback in the comments. I'll see you next time.